Welcome to my channel Learning Arabic Through Pronunciation. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Sukoon, which is the consonant or the silent form of a letter. But I've written the word silence because the word Sukoon means silent in English, okay? But if you remember, I've made videos about the short vowels that are one of the first signs of pronunciation, which are the fatha and the dhamma and the kasra, and those represent the way we pronounce the letter with a movement of our mouth, meaning that we move our mouth up and down so that we pronounce the letter with the short vowels. But when we pronounce the letter with the Sukoon, okay, we pronounce it in a silent form, okay, we stop on the letter. So let's start by giving you some tips on the pronunciation of the Sukoon. So what does as-Sukoon mean? As-Sukoon means the Sukoon in English, okay? The Sukoon is a stop or a pause on the letter, okay? Or a cut off or an intercept on the letter pronunciation, because you feel like that something has interrupted the letter that you pronounced it that way. So let's see how the Sukoon looked like. So the signs of the consonant form, those are these two signs. The first one is the small circle, and that small circle is found in everyday reading, okay? When you read an article or something and you can see the letter with that small circle on it, okay? However, the second one, which is on the left of that girl, is found only in the Quran, okay? So the one on the right can be found we teach the children. However, when we teach when a child memorizes the Quran or something, he will learn the second one on the left, okay? So when do we spell the letter in a consonant form, okay? Okay, to summarize what I've written here, we don't pronounce the letter with in a consonant form at the beginning of a word, or at the beginning, or usually we don't begin a word or with the Sukoon, okay? But it comes in the middle or at the end of a word, and it usually comes at the end of the word when we stop on the word, meaning that we won't say anything after that word, or when no word comes after it, okay? So usually when you tell me what's meant by let's say an animal like the lion, so I will tell you asad. So when I stopped on the last letter, I pronounced that letter, the last one, with a Sukoon over it. I said asad. So I stopped on the last letter, the dal, with the Sukoon, okay? So memorize that, and we don't begin any word with a consonant in a consonant form. It usually comes at the middle or at the end. But I've written these so that you memorize that picture, and that you remember that, okay? You know, our brain consists of fissures or something like holes, so that you store lots of information in your mind. So if you made something like capturing that picture in your mind, that will give you a way so that you memorize the information and never forget it, okay? So let's start by knowing how do we pronounce a letter with a Sukoon, okay? So I've written that strategy in two points. Okay, the first one, we take the first letter of the name of the letter and we press on it while spelling, and I'll show you how. Okay, but in some letters we take the first two letters of the name of the letter. So so I will explain you practically. Okay, let's start by this first letter. The first letter is alif. Okay, alif is the letter that is represented, okay, at the left and the right, sorry, and so that letter is called alif. So that's the name of the letter. Okay. However, when we have put that small circle on that letter, we pronounce it like that way. We took the first letter of the name of that letter, which is A, okay, and we pressed on it by spelling it twice, by saying a. So like that. When that letter alif is called alif. So we took the first a, okay, and then we pressed on it by saying a. Okay, taking another example. That letter is called b. Okay, so the first letter of the name of that letter is called p. Okay, p. So when we put the sukun over it, we take the first letter and then we press on it. So I say p, p. Okay, so a b with a sukun over it is pronounced like that, b, p. Okay, taking the third letter, which is t. T consists of the first letter is t. Okay, so taking the first letter of the name of that letter, okay, and pressing on it, so it becomes like that, t. So t with a sukun over it becomes t. So let's see some of the letters that we take the first two letters to pronounce it in a consonant form. Okay, so that's the letter th. That letter th consists of the first of th and double a. Okay, so when we pronounce it in a consonant form, meaning that a sukun over it, so we take the first two letters of the name of that letter, which is we take the first th, so it becomes like that, like that, and we make our tongue comes out of our mouth. Okay, okay, or not coming out, we make it collapse with the seal of our mouth. Okay, take the another letters that we take the first two letters to pronounce it in a consonant form. That letter is called kha. So with that letter kha or kha, okay, we say kha. Okay, we make it like that, strong like that on pronouncing it. So we say kha. Kha consists of kh and double a. So we take the first two letters that are kh to pronounce the letter in a consonant form. So it becomes like that with a sukun over it, like that. Okay, then we move to another letter, which is the sheen. Sheen consists of sh, double e, and n. So we take the first two letters sh and become like that on pronouncing it in a consonant form. It comes like sh, like that, sh. And when you say sh or shush on your language, okay, to stop someone from talking, okay, so remember it like that, sh. Okay, now we have the last two letters that we take the first two letters from it. Okay, that letter is called ayn. Ayn. Okay, we say ayn. Okay, but because you're not a native one or native Arabic speaker, we will tell you it's called ayn. Okay, however we pronounce it ayn. Ayn. Okay, so you see, taking the first letter, which is a. Okay, but we say okay, you see here the number 3. That number 3 we put instead of the a. Okay, because there is no letter in the English language that matches with the pronunciation of ayn. So when we want to tell someone that we're going to pronounce the letter ayn, we put that 3 number, okay, to represent the pronunciation of that letter. And you know the Franco language, okay, when you write numbers instead of letters, so we use that number 3 to represent the ayn letter, okay. However, the same pronunciation becomes like that, okay. Taking the last letter, okay, which is ghain. Ghain, okay, consists of Ghain, okay. So when we want to pronounce the letter in a consonant form with a sukoon over it, the small circle on that letter becomes like that. Okay, it comes from my throat if you observe that. Okay, so ayn becomes a and ghain becomes r. Okay, so let's give you some tips on the pronunciation of that letter. Okay, well, you know, I put these letters, okay, with the consonant form in 2-lettered words. So why that? Because you can't, I've mentioned before that we can't pronounce that letter in a consonant form alone. It must have a letter with that comes before it or that precedes it with a short vowel on it, meaning that that letter with a sukoon over it must be preceded by a letter that have the short vowel, the fatha or the dhamma or the kasra over it, so that we can pronounce the letter normally. Okay, so that, as you can see, the pronunciation is not easy, so we make it more easier by pronouncing it with a letter that has a short vowel or that has a movement. Okay, so let's see. That's letter alif. Okay, that letter alif with a fatha over it is pronounced as a. Okay, that letter alif has a short vowel over it, that is a fatha, so it becomes a. Okay, so when it is preceded by a second letter, which is let's say it's alif with a sukoon over it, so the pronunciation of the sukoon of the alif with a sukoon a. Okay, as and that's the pronunciation on the left, okay, of the alif with the sukoon. So when we pronounce these 2 letters together, it becomes like that, a. Can you see? A. Okay, so you can see here these are the same letters, so you can't feel a difference. So let's feel a difference by another word, which is ep. Okay, so the b, which is the second letter of that word, it becomes like that, b. So when it is preceded by a letter with a short vowel over it, which is a, so So it becomes like that. Ep. Ep. Okay? By the way, ep means father. Okay? Let's take the third word. Alif with a fatha over it, preceded by, and followed by the letter T with a Sukun. That T or Ta is pronounced like that. T, T. So it becomes like that. At. At. Okay, so ep. At. Okay, taking that letter. That letter is called, the second letter is called Dad. That Dad is the only the only letter that has no nothing that that looks like it. Okay, it's not found in any language, and because of that, we call the Arabic language the language of the Dad. Okay, so that Dad is pronounced like that. D, da, da. So when we pronounce the alif and the da together, it becomes like that. Ad, ad, ad. Okay. Taking another example. Ag, agra. So you say here the first alif, okay, with the fatha over it is a, and the second letter is ghain, ghain. That ghain has the first gh, so it becomes like that. Agra. Agra. Okay, let's see here. The letter is called ayn. Okay, that ayn has we put that free to represent the pronunciation of that letter, but you can say a. Okay, you can pronounce it as a, but it's not the right pronunciation. So try to match that pronunciation by saying a. Okay, so agr. Ad. Okay, so tell me your opinion. If you liked that video, tell me if you have understood something, and tell me if you have practiced the pronunciation of the Sukun, what has happened to you, what were the difficulties that faced you on pronouncing that letter. I would like to know more about that. Your opinion matters.